Jacob Epstein had one radical obsession: to reimagine the human form. But Britain wasn't ready. While others preserved tradition, Epstein shattered it. His work sparked outrage, a sculptor who carved against the grain of his time and changed it forever. This is the story of a 20th century artist who refused to change his vision, Jacob Epstein. This is Epstein's most radical sculpture, a unique vision of the human form, and it shows Epstein responding to the horrors of the mechanization of warfare, the advancements in technology which maimed an entire generation. But it didn't always look like this. In 1913, Epstein was fascinated by the advancements of technology during the Industrial Revolution and set out to create a striking vision of man. Towering above the viewer, full of confidence and power, this sculpture is a tall, powerful figure on a real rock drilling machine. It celebrates man in command and in control. At the time of its release, it was deemed shocking. The public were used to seeing the human form in a much more classical and conventional way. But Epstein rejected this to create something new, something avant-garde. This radical hybrid of flesh and machine would be completely destroyed by the outbreak of the First World War, when technology became a means to tear man apart and create chaos. The huge loss of life in the First World War changed the way that Epstein saw the sculpture. He dismantled it, removing the original rock drill and reducing the figure to this damaged torso, emphasizing the loss and mutilation of the First World War. Once powerful warrior has become a mutilated, vulnerable victim, a haunting reflection of the soldiers returning from the trenches. This dehumanization and link to modern technology is often cited as the ultimate expression of vorticism, a brief but intense British art movement that embraced energy, machines, and the blast of the modern world. The sculpture's rigid, mechanized form seemed to echo the vorticist belief in motion, force, and the raw power of the machine. Epstein used this sculpture to meditate on what it meant to be human in the modern world, and he called it a figure of today and tomorrow, with no humanity, like a terrible Frankenstein's monster. And rock drill became not just a sculpture, but a warning. Epstein kept pushing his sculpture into more radical territory, rejecting the classical forms of the day for something more progressive. And the British Museum became a place of significant inspiration. Visiting the Egyptian, African, and Greek galleries, he was deeply inspired by the aesthetics of ancient art, the sculptures of gods of the past. One key inspiration for him was the lamassu. These grand winged figures from ancient times often guarded tombs, and Epstein took this as a leaping-off point for his next masterpiece. Taking over 9 months to complete, this tomb for Oscar Wilde saw Epstein's modern vision transform the curve of the lamassu wings into strong horizontal lines, giving it a new momentum and force and symbolically depicting the poet as a messenger. The block of stone dictates the form of the figure. This is something that Epstein would repeat for his next masterpiece. Epstein carved Sun God in 1910, and it was one of his early steps towards a bold new approach to sculpture in Britain. It shows a male figure in a strong frontal pose, and instead of detailed academic representation of the human figure, instead we can see Epstein's interest in monumentality and a broader spirituality. Epstein was struck by the aesthetics and spiritual symbolism seen in Egyptian sculpture, bringing it into this work through flat planes, simplistic forms, and rhythmic patterns, representing the idea of a universal sun figure, powerful, spiritual, and monumental. Sun God marks a key turning point in Epstein's development as a sculptor. And what's so unique about this piece is that over 20 years later, Epstein would revisit the same block of stone, carving another sculpture on its reverse, Primeval Gods. Instead of idealized or figurative representations of the human body, we can see solid, simple shapes which seem to emerge directly from the stone, giving the work an elemental feel. But why did Epstein do this? He wanted to further push what sculpture could do by creating a powerful duality in this work. One side, representing ordered and divine energy, and the other, chaos and elemental forces, reminding viewers that man exists within, not above, these godly powers. Epstein wasn't copying the ancient and non-Western sources he was looking at. Instead, he wanted his work to meet the viewer head-on, and he was committed to exploring the human figure without the usual moral or decorative conventions. As London rose higher, so did Epstein's ambition. He wanted to push more towards the avant-garde, rejecting the polite, classical figures that traditionally adorned public buildings. And when he began collaborating with architect Charles Holden, he finally had the chance to do just that. Commissioned to decorate the British Medical Association building, Epstein seized the opportunity to confront the public with something radically unfamiliar. He sculpted a series of 18 figures, each intended to symbolize various aspects of human life and experience, also including ancient figures like Hygeia, the Greek goddess of health. This was the perfect allegory for a medical organization's headquarters. For Epstein, though, these sculptures aren't polished or academic in style. Instead, the direct, rough, and symbolic carving represents how he saw the spirit of humanity. Epstein continued this spirit with two striking sculptures for Holden's 55 Broadway building, Night and Day. These two figures, simplified, massive, and bold, are carved with strong vertical lines that echo the building's architecture, and each comes with a symbolic meaning. The first, with a child's hopeful upward gaze, can signify aspiration, resembling day, whereas the mother, or caregiver in repose, can signify rest and vulnerability, resembling the night. The exposed bodies on these sculptures, on both buildings, shocked conservative public opinion at the time, depicting nudity in a way that was seen as unfamiliar to Londoners below them. The conservative Edwardian values of the day were unaligned to Epstein's progressive ideas of sculpture, resulting in the sculptures on both buildings being mutilated and hacked. The public response to Epstein's sculpture showed just how far he had moved beyond accepted artistic conventions, and it solidified his feeling as an outsider. But Epstein was unapologetic. He shows us as we really are, in our physicality, energy, and sexuality, the true forms of humanity. His sculpture was about fundamental human meaning, and that what the critics called grotesque, Epstein called truth. Jacob and the Angel is considered to be one of Epstein's most important sculptures, and it shows an insight into how he continued to approach the human form in a modern and experimental way. For many viewers in 1940s Britain, the physicality of the sculpture felt indecent or irreverent. Critics called his work ugly, grotesque, even blasphemous. But that rawness was deliberate. The sculpture depicts a biblical story from the book of Genesis, in which we see Jacob forced to wrestle with an unknown assailant through the night. But when morning comes, his opponent has blessed him, because he had not abandoned the struggle and revealed himself to be an angel and a messenger from God. What's so important about this sculpture is Epstein's use of material. He's chosen alabaster, a beautiful soft stone, and in the colours which swirl in its depths, we might see veins or blood pumping under the surface of flesh-made stone. And in the lighter parts, they are white, almost translucent in the angel's wings. And Epstein has used the material to create a sense of spiritual transcendence. And in his sculpture, here we can see the earthly human figure meet the heavenly. By the 1950s, Epstein was no longer the outsider. The culture in Britain had changed, and the society's freedoms meant that his work was now understood and admired. This acceptance led to him being commissioned to take on one of the most important sculptural motifs in Western art history, the Pieta. At the time, the most famous Pieta was Michelangelo's. Calm, harmonious, and instantly recognizable, it is the idealized image of the Virgin Mary cradling the dead Christ. Epstein stripped away the Renaissance beauty and religious certainty, transforming the Pieta into a raw, secular expression of collective grief shaped by industrialized war. Angular and blocky, Mary is shown as a massive, monumental figure, her form simplified and rounded. But rather than bowing her head like previous Pieta interpretations, Epstein puts her gaze forward, giving her a defiant and resolute focus. So rather than focusing on idealized beauty like Michelangelo, he conveys the raw humanity and spiritual gravity of the moment, a mother's grief, the weight of loss, and the mystery of redemption. Epstein reimagined religious iconography in a way that continued his exploration of the human body as a site of divine conflict. Throughout his life, Epstein reimagined what sculpture could do and say, not as polite beauty, not as decoration, but as something raw, elemental, eternal. Man as machine, man as God, man as human. For him, art is meant to challenge and disturb us, to ask the deeper questions about life, about what it means to be human in a modern world.